Hello everyone, this is Lincoln Prime, and today we are taking a look at the Transformers Studio Series Gamer Edition War for Cybertron Voyager class Starscream. And before we're taking a look at the figure, I do want to take a quick look at the packaging. On the front, we have Transformers War for Cybertron, Transformers Studio Series Gamer Edition Starscream, Transformers Generations Takara Tomy Hasbro number 6 in the line, because there are, well, now only 6. We do have a pretty cool picture of Starscream's, I believe, concept art, or official, I'm pretty sure it's the official art for the video game. On the side, we get Studio Series 06, and we get a picture of Starscream, we get Voyager class in a bunch of different languages. On the other side, we get a picture of Starscream, we get the Gamer Edition logo, Transformers Authentic. On the back, we get some pictures of his product shots, and honestly, it's kind of funny to me how the clear on the cockpit looks a lot better in this than it does on the actual toy. On the bottom, we get words and stuff that I don't care about, and on the top, we get Transformers War for Cybertron and the Gamer Edition logo, and that is pretty much about it for the box. And moving right along, here we have Voyager class Gamer Edition Starscream sporting a very, very nice looking Cybertronian. I would say Tetrajet, but it's not really touching that surface, to be honest. But it does look pretty interesting in my opinion. Very different from what I was used to seeing with a lot of the older figures, because I'm pretty sure those were more so based on the concept art. And then again, those were also for War for Cybertron, or Fall of Cybertron, not War for Cybertron. So, you know, but hey, this looks pretty cool, I will say that. But I do want to get my gripes out of the way. Of course, the cockpit is a bit controversial in the community. To be honest, it's not something I mind too much. The thing that I mind about it, however, is the material it's made out of. It's actually made out of a rubbery plastic, which I am afraid might deteriorate over time. And the thing that I'm also not big about it is the fact that on the underneath is the head. And sometimes when the head is poking up a little bit too much, it warps the plastic right here. And as you can see, mine actually did arrive with warped plastic right here in this corner, and that was really annoying. But at the same time too, when the head's poking through, you can kind of see how it will bend the plastic a little bit in those areas up top. So yeah, not a huge fan of that, to be completely honest. And the other thing too is it really makes the paint work on this a bit redundant, because it doesn't even match up properly, and it'll also probably end up scratching off over time. So that's really cool, Hasbro. Thanks a lot for that. Another thing I'm not too big of is just the kind of arm kibble poking out through this section right here, and just the visible screws, and you can also clearly tell that those are the arms underneath. So yeah, I'm not a huge fan of that, and this whole area looks a little bit too skinny. I'm sure it's accurate, but still, it's just, even if it was an actual design choice, I'm not a big fan of it. So yeah. And of course we have some gappage in here that just doesn't look too good, honestly, but hey, it is what it is. Everything back here though and in the front looks pretty nice though. I do like the red for the front of the cockpit. We get some nice red painted details, which is metallic, which does look really nice. We get some more kind of a light maroon red for majority of this, as well as some navy blue for the back end. Some pretty cool metallic gray plastic going on in the back here, and overall it is pretty nice looking. We got some metallic purple in these areas right there. That's about it for when it comes to the metallic purple. I don't think we get it on anything else. But yeah, really interesting looking jet mode. It has some issues that I personally have, but it's not too terrible. But yeah, overall it is pretty nice in my opinion. We get some Decepticon logos as well on those areas, so there we do have that. So yeah, when it comes to everything going on here, it's not too bad, but it could have been a little bit better in my opinion. Now, he does actually have some accessories. We get this gun accessory right here, which kind of reminds me of Megatron a little bit. Like specifically the Walther P-38 look that he has. Not entirely though, but it's a little bit there. And then of course we do have his mace weapon, which actually does split into 2 parts. Not really sure why it does that. Maybe it was just a packaging thing, I'm not too sure, but hey, it's a thing that it does, and we do have a way to store it. So basically, we got some ports right here on the side of this, and we got a hole right here, and just plug that on there like so. And same thing with this, just plug that on there like that. And that's pretty much your weapon storage. I've never really been a huge fan of the Gamer Edition weapon storage. I think that it's always looked a little bit bad, to be honest, but it's not a huge deal. But, you know, again, you could just, if you don't want it there, just take it off and you have something that looks better. But yeah, again, going over the weapons though, with the mace accessory, we got some nice metallic painted purple right here for the head of the mace. And one issue that I have with mine is that these two parts are bent downwards. They were bent that way from the packaging, so that does suck a little bit, but there is a lot of nice detail going across this whole thing right there. And with this, I mean, there's not really too much going on, but there is some nice detail sculpted in there. So yeah, pretty nice in terms of the weapons, but you know, main focus in my opinion is the figure itself. And I feel like I've talked about the jet mode as much as I wanted to, so let us get down to the transformation. And here we have the Gamer Edition Starscream in his robot mode, and I do have to say, just having him in person is a lot better than the online images. So yeah, don't trust the online images, trust the in-hand product, because yeah, it is definitely a lot better. But moving in on all of the niceness of this figure, I do have to say, yeah, really, really good in person. The head looks really nice. We do pretty much the entirety of the blue on here is painted. The silver is painted as well. Lots of nice detail in the face. Very accurate to the video game, I will say that. The eyes are red. Pretty sure they're just molded that way. I don't think they're painted, but yeah, so lots of nice, detail going on in the head. These sections right here pretty much, carried over from the air, or from the jet mode. We do have, of course, that purple that carries over. Everything here is pretty much the same. Cockpit, of course, is a bit bigger. Apparently, the cockpit was made this way because they needed a way to fit the head inside of the cockpit. So, yeah, I guess. The sculpting on the arms is very nice, going down on the forearms as well. Nice silver paint going down here as well. Hands are sculpted pretty decently. We do get some red here for the legs. We get some more of that kind of metallic-ish painted red right here for these sections of the shins. Pretty much the same gray that we saw. Nice painted blue over here, blue on the feet, and that's pretty much it when it comes to that. Back detail is, not too much going on, but it does clean up very nicely. Of course, it's Starscream, so there's not really much to do when it comes to cleaning up the profile. Of course, it's always going to look pretty decent. So, hey, not much to really complain about there. One thing is that there isn't a lot of detail. In fact, when I say detail, I mean like sculpted, molded in detail. And I'm just saying that as when you look at the other Gamer Edition figures, there was a lot of, panels and little, rivets and all that kind of stuff. There's not really much of that going on here. It's not a huge deal though. Pretty sure that is accurate, so they did what they were, able to. So yeah, it's not a huge deal to me. It still looks good, but yeah, definitely doesn't feel like he fits in terms of just that specific aspect with the other figures. But overall, not a huge deal. They still did a good job on it. But yeah, so overall, when it comes to everything going on here, proportionately, he looks great. I mean, of course, he's a War for Cybertron slash follow Cybertron, you know, the proportions are going to be very chunky, but you know, it does work out very nicely on this figure. But yeah, so overall paint is very nicely applied, nothing really missed. So yeah, and when it comes to quality control, they did a pretty good job. I mean, everything has very nice tolerances. You know, it doesn't really, you know, wobble around that much. I mean, of course, you're kind of seeing the legs are a little bit loose there, but it's not terrible. I mean, they are tight. They are very tight for what they are. So yeah, very nice tolerances, lots of stuff going on here, but you know, it is very, very nice for what it is. Now, when it comes to his weapons, well, of course, we do have his mace, and the way that he holds it is there's this little part right here at the end, and that's really all you can do. And it's tiny. I'm not a huge fan of that. I wish there could have been a little bit more going on there, but it's not terrible. He can it's still at least hold it, so there's that. And of course, we do have the Megatron kind of gun type thing going on here. He can hold that too. So yeah, we do have that. And of course, it wouldn't be Gamer Edition without the, you know, feature where you just rip off his arm and you can just replace it with the gun like so. And you do have the option to do that. Am I a big fan of how that looks? No, not really. I'm not a big fan of how it looks on any of the Gamer Edition figures. Optimus does it the best, and that's really about it. But you know, it is something you could do. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of that. I just prefer to, you know, keep their limbs on. But hey, again, it's something you can do. But yeah, and another thing is the handle on this is even shorter. So the good thing is it's at least tight enough to fit into the hand, so where it's not going to go anywhere. But still, wish it was a little bit longer. But then again, I feel like that was mainly to accommodate for the fact that if it was longer, it would probably look weird when it's attached to the actual arm. So maybe that's why they made it short, maybe just to help it to blend in a little bit better. And if that's the case, I'm okay with it. And he's still able to hold it, so you know, there's that. So again, not a huge deal. But when it comes to his articulation, there is a ball joint in the head, so it can look up pretty far, down not too far. Rotation at the head, which can go all the way around, which is very nice. Of course, because it's a ball joint, there is a little bit of side to side, but not too much. Arms can rotate a full 360, but you do have to move it out of the way just a little bit because of the wing. But that, you know, does do that. Arms can move out that much and that much. Swivel at the bicep. Double jointed elbows, which is very nice, but it does look a little bit weird when you're doing it like that. But if it's from the front, it's fine. And of course, a swivel at the wrist. We do have a swivel at the waist, but unfortunately it's hindered by the cockpit area. So again, not too big of a fan of that, but it at least doesn't, you know, it's not a huge deal. The legs can kick forward pretty far, all the way, back all the way, and they do the full splits. So that is that. We do have a swivel at the thigh, over 90-degree bend at the knee, and of course a very nice pivot. So yeah, so articulation on Starscream here, while it is limited only in the waist, it practically has free range in everywhere else. So it is very nice. Of course, you know, you do have movement in the wings, so they can move back and forth. So you do have that option to mess around with those. But yeah, so overall, articulation on this guy, besides the waist, is fantastic. So yeah, everything going on here is pretty great. And overall, my final comments on this figure is that I recommend it, but it also depends on your preferences. It's a very good figure, so just from my personal perspective on how I like it, I believe that this is something that I would definitely recommend. But again, of course, it depends on what people want. Most people, you know, they're not a huge fan of how the cockpit looks. They're not a huge fan of the lack of, you know, molded detail. Personally, those are things that, having this in hand, I don't personally mind, but I get it. So, you know, if you don't want to pick it up just because of, you know, how it looks, you know, that's completely on you. I understand. I have, you know, similar issues, but that doesn't mean that it's a bad figure, just in my eyes. Just from handling it and, you know, everything else, you know, it's got nice paint, nice detail for what's there. Everything is applied well. There's really good QC. Accessories, you know, not perfect, but, you know, they're there, and you at least have options with them, and that's something that I appreciate. The transformation is pretty smooth, I will say that. I do think that the transformation is a lot of fun. Of course, there are some things that they could have improved on, my opinion, but what I will say is that it's definitely the best Gamer Edition figure since Prime. The other ones are they're all right. I mean, you know, the Prime is fantastic. He's an absolute masterpiece of a figure. Bumblebee and Cliffjumper, they're pretty much okay, I guess. Barricade is just simply bad. Megatron is good, and then this is also great. This one is honestly on par with Optimus Prime in my opinion. But yeah, really good figure, highly recommend it. If you really want to, you know, complete your Gamer Edition figures, then, you know, you absolutely have to pick this up. And I will say this, I'm very excited for Thundercracker and Skywarp and maybe other Seekers that they'll, you know, make from this mold. They definitely have to do it because I want to see more of this. This is definitely really good. I have to see more. But yeah, overall price point when it comes to it, it is Voyager class, so of course you're going to be paying 35 to 37, maybe even 40 bucks, depending on where you're buying it from, of course. So I will say that, you know, in my opinion, it's worth it. It is definitely worth the pickup. So yeah, if you can find it, get it. I did order this off of Amazon, so I will provide a link in the description. But yeah, so overall, that is pretty much about it for this review. I hope you all enjoyed. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.